Hey guys, this is Isha.
I'm Maya.
And welcome.
Welcome to the Hiubang Show.
So,
Before we begin, please subscribe to this channel and turn your bell notification on.
don't forget to like and share, comment.
And watch right away.
Anyway guys, so there's been a lot of comments who's been like, hey, isn't Indonesia used to be part of ancient Indonesia used to be part of ancient India?
From one ancestor.
I mean, historically, you know, Indonesia used to be a Hindu. Yeah, we got Kingdom Majapahit,
and
we
then
got
Sriwijaya.
Sriwijaya Kingdom, and however, now Indonesia is very different.
Yeah,
but
diverse.
Do you know where the name of our country came from?
I'm sorry, my historical lesson is like very low.
So you're saying that you're kind of dumb when it comes to history. Anyway guys, so we got somebody shared this video who talks about whether or not Indonesia is named after India.
Oh, whether we have the same history?
Maybe. So let's just go check it out.
Check it out.
Island of New Guinea, which borders the independent nation of Papua New Guinea, as well as the island of Borneo, which mainly belongs to Indonesia, as well as parts of the island belonging to Malaysia and the small state of Brunei. As well as sharing borders and parts of islands, Indonesia also seems to share part of its name with another country, the huge Asian country of India. Both nations have IND at the start of their name, and what's more interesting is that the word used to refer to something that relates to India is Indo, such as Proto-INDO-EUROPEAN language, the parent tongue of many European and Indian languages that I'm sure long-time viewers know all about by now. But anyway, why do both the names of these countries have similar beginnings? Was Indonesia named after India? Was India named after Indonesia? Or is it just a big coincidence? So, before we look at Indonesia, we should look at how exactly India got its name. India is named after a river that runs through the country, the Indus River. Originally, however, this river had a different name, coming from the Sanskrit language, Sindhu. This is also thought to mean sea in Sanskrit too. This name of Sindhu was corrupted in a couple ways over time by various languages. Iranians said S sound as H sound, so to them Sindhu became Hindu, where the name of the Hindu religion came from. And the Greeks pronounced the name Sindhu as Indus, which became the name of the river that led to the name India. So India is named after the river, which rules out the possibility of India being named after Indonesia. So is Indonesia named after India? Well, short answer, yes. Long answer, well, before the name Indonesia was settled upon, the area of the world where Indonesia is, including the modern Philippines and Malaysia too, were labelled as the Indian Archipelago, as well as the East Indies, due to the archipelago's location east to India and being named in relation to the West Indies in the Caribbean. Between 1816 and 1949, parts of this section of the world were a part of the Dutch Empire and were known as the Dutch East Indies. Despite being under Dutch control, the name Indonesia is of British origin, first appearing in an 1850 article written by Englishman George Samuel Windsor Earle and Scotsman James Richardson Logan. Earle in the article proposed the term Indonesian for the people of the islands. He also suggested Malayanesian, which he actually preferred, as at this time the Indian archipelago was also known as the Malayan archipelago, as what was Indonesia and what was Malaysia wasn't as concrete then. It was later on in the article that Logan suggested the name Indonesia, coming from the aforementioned Greek Indus and the Greek Nissos, meaning island. So the name really means Indian island to some degree. The name Indonesia grew in popularity thanks to the published travel journals and studies of a German physician, Adolf Bastian, who used the name Indonesia when talking about his experiences on the islands. The islands that make up Indonesia were under Dutch control all the way up to 1949, when they were granted independence. This independence only came about, however, due to the Japanese taking over the land the years before, between 1942 and 1945 during World War II. With the Netherlands being occupied by Germany, they couldn't really do anything to help the native Indonesians being overtaken by the Japanese. The natives were actually kind of happy to be under Japanese control, as it meant they were free from the Dutch. That was of course until they had to play their role in the Japanese war effort. When the Japanese were finally ousted by the natives of Indonesia, they saw this as their time to claim independence from the Dutch, which they finally achieved in 1949. What's interesting, however, is usually when a country gains independence from colonial rule, they changed their name to reflect this. Indonesia, however, kept the name given to them by outsiders. So, despite history painting India and Indonesia as somewhat similar countries, are they actually that similar? Well, no, not massively. They have completely different cultures, different languages, and different most popular religions. Despite being close to each other, perhaps the only thing these countries have in common, aside from a somewhat shared history, is of course their names. The country of Indonesia was suggested by Ekmal Sukarno, sorry if I mispronounced that, over on Patreon, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as name
and that was names explaining about the name between India and Indonesia.
So, as Indonesian, we study a little bit of history, right?
Yeah.
So, do you agree with that particular YouTuber talking about the history of our Indonesian country name?
He said that Indonesia came from British.
No. The Britain, one of the journalists.
One of the journalists say that in the research they mentioned about Indonesia. Well, I don't know, especially about the part of the Japanese invading our country in 1945.
Yeah, he said that we got our independence in 1949.
1949, yeah, and that's absolutely wrong.
Actually, yeah, there's a lot of okay. I thought, first of all, I thought that the video was going to talk about the ancient Indonesia. I thought the video was going to talk about the link of India and Indonesia in the ancient past, whereas the video only talks about how the modern Indonesia. He didn't talk about a lot, because I believe, because like there are a lot of names, for example, like the Majapahit Kingdom, the apalagi Sriwijaya Kingdom, or okay, I don't really remember all the kingdoms' names, but there are relations when it comes to Indonesia and India. Agree to disagree. Certain history in Indonesia, where it talks about the Japanese people, the Dutch. It says that Indonesia got its freedom on 1949. Wrong. We got our freedom on 17th of August 1945. It was snatched. So basically, it is true the Dutch didn't do anything when the Japanese come, and of course we are not happy when the Japanese came. We are not happy because right away we got apa tuh namanya?
Colonialized.
We got colonialized, but also invaded. To be honest, invaded, and so there are some wrongs over there. And Sukarno, our first president, and a bunch of other people, and a bunch of the older generation of fighters, they decided, you know what, this is our chance to gain our independence. That's when they declared on 17th of August 1945 to be our Independence Day. Of course, it's not automatically given. The Japanese did not agree.
It's only because the Japs is being invaded by, I don't know, British when the bomb American. By that's proof.
The Pearl Harbor bombing.
At
first the Pearl Harbor bombing, and after Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombing.
And that's the chance for Indonesia to snatch our freedom. And our national hero, Mr. Sukarno, declare our independence.
Yes, that's how it was like, okay, Japanese getting weaker, the Dutch didn't do shit, and Indonesia was like, this is it. This is our time. But going back to the past again, I don't think the name Indonesia is being penned originally by the British journalists. I don't think so. I remember somebody said it's way long before that. I think somebody else's name.
There's also no proof about the article that he mentioned on the video.
We never heard about it. We never heard of those guys actually. Samuel Logan or something? No, we never heard about it. But
that's interesting that we listen to that kind of video.
Even though it's wrong though. We're not happy when the Japanese came.
What do you guys
Who is happy?
Who's happy
penjajah datang?
Being invaded?
Enggak, maksudnya penjajah datang, selamat datang.
And doing nothing other than invading us. And what do you guys think? If you have any comment or response to this?
This is interesting though, because we are the younger generation. World War II happens 50 plus years ago, and a lot of the new generation kind of forget about that. They only read it from the history books.
The history book, at school,
But nevertheless, you guys, Southeast Asian countries are mostly colonies to the Western civilization. tell us about your opinion on that. You know, India used to be the British colony. Indonesia used to be the Dutch colony. Singapore used to be the British colony.
Philippines
is Spanish. Spain or Portuguese? I don't remember.
Spain or Portuguese,
Spain or Portuguese, if I'm not mistaken. Nevertheless, Thai never get invaded, never colonized though.
Really?
Thai never.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless, guys, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. See ya.